This is a 1925 Austin Chummy. It was driven from Buenos Aires, Argentina to New York City by one of these three men. What is your name, please?
My name is John Coleman.
What is your name, please?
My name is John Coleman.
What is your name, please?
My name is John Coleman.
Two of these people are imposters. Only one is the real John Coleman and is the only one sworn to tell the truth. And here, sitting in for Bud Collier, is our host, Jim Fleming.
Good evening. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. To Tell the Truth is brought to you this week by Helene Curtis, makers of fine beauty products, creators of suave hairdressing and conditioner, and America's #1 spray, Helene Curtis Spray Net. Well, panel, as Bud Collier always says, it's a great pleasure to be with so distinguished and knowledgeable a company. And now let's meet our panel. First, Mr. Tom Poston, and Miss Kitty Carlisle, Mr. Don Ameche, and finally, Miss Polly Bergen. Panel, you have those affidavits before you, which you have not seen before. You will open them, and I hope you will follow along with me as I read this first affidavit. I, John Coleman, drove a 35-year-old automobile from Buenos Aires, Argentina to New York City, a distance of 11,000 miles across deserts, through jungles, and over the Andes Mountains. The car, which was built in 1925, suffered no major breakdown, although it once sank in a stream in Chile, at once met face-to-face with a mountain lion at the entrance to a tunnel. I left Buenos Aires November 15th, 1959, arrived in New York July 6, 1960. I had only one flat tire, and I ran out of gasoline only once in Texas. Signed, John Coleman. Well, panel, there's the trip of our time, and these three gentlemen all claim to be John Coleman, the South America to New York automobile driver. So let's start our questioning with Miss Polly Bergen.
Thank you, sir. Number one, what make car was this? I missed it when they said it at the very
This was
beginning.
an Austin 7 Chummy.
A what?
Austin 7 Chummy?
Sounds cozy, doesn't it?
Chummy,
Yes.
like towels. I learned a great deal from that question. Number two, once you hit the United States, because I don't know very much about South America, what route did you take going to New York City?
I came in through Laredo. I went up through Texas, Louisiana, Carolina, South and North Carolina.
Did you hit the southern route and take the southern route up to New York?
I don't know the name. I don't know the difference
Number
between the
seven.
south.
Do you know the
I
name
went,
of the route that you
Number
took?
seven.
Number three. Well, it looks like a 7 with my glasses on. Number 3, what route?
Route 1.
Route 1?
Thank you, Polly. Tom Poston, if you please.
It says here, out of gas in Texas. It's such a funny idea.
Carry on, Tom.
Isn't that where it all comes from? Number 3, how did you get across the Amazon?
We did not cross the Amazon, sir.
You didn't?
No, sir.
How did you get across that part of South America?
Well, we left Ecuador when the weather was really bad indeed, and the roads were disintegrating. So we left Guayaquil and came across to the Panama.
I see. Could you tell me the date you left Ecuador, number 3, please?
On or about the 3rd of May.
Do you agree with that, number 2?
I'm sorry, Tom. That's all the time you have. And now, Miss Kitty Carlisle.
Number 1, may I ask you a personal question? Are you nearsighted?
Am I?
Are you nearsighted?
Am I? Sorry, I don't know.
Are you myopic?
Are you nearsighted?
Oh, yes.
And isn't everyone?
Well, I know I am, of course, but how myopic are you?
Very.
And you drove this whole way with did you have an assistant or a companion?
No, I was by myself.
All alone?
Uh-huh. I had a spare pair of glasses, though.
You did. Number 2, did you always go across streams, as it says here, or did you ever use pontoons?
I used pontoons at times when they were available.
Did you make them yourself?
No.
You had assistance,
I had assistance when necessary.
and you loaded the car on the pontoons.
Sorry, Polly. Don Ameche.
I'm kidding.
I'm sorry, Kitty. I'm new here.
Yeah, I know. I just want to make sure you knew who I was.
You're Kitty, and I know it. And this is Don Ameche.
Number 3, thank you, Jim. Number 3, you left from Argentina, is that correct?
We left...
From Buenos Aires?
We left from Buenos Aires, yes.
And how did you miss the Amazon? You didn't explain that. You were next in Ecuador. How did you miss the Amazon?
We did miss the Amazon.
Where did you? I beg your pardon?
We did miss the Amazon, yes.
How did you miss it? Where did you go? What
Well, I
route?
don't really know, but we were plowing through Ecuador, and as I said, the weather was so bad, we took a chance and got this boat at Guayaquil.
Number 1, how many cylinders in this car?
4.
Number 2, how many gallons of gas did this tank hold?
What sort of gallons?
I beg your pardon?
There's a difference between English gallons and American gallons.
Well, just make it regular gallon, not
It's
imperial.
around about 5 gallons.
About 5.
With 5 gallons, our time is up, and it's time to vote, panel. So will you think it over very quickly, without consultation? Will you mark your ballots and select number 1, number 2, or number 3 as the man who drove from Buenos Aires to New York? And the team of challengers, of course, will get $250 for every incorrect vote. Are the ballots all marked neatly and precisely?
Jim, no, Jim.
Mine's mine.
Yours is ready, Polly. Don?
Yes.
Good. So let's find out how the voting went. Tom Poston, for whom did you vote?
I voted for number 1 because I feel that many, many millions of people out in the audience also voted for number 1. And why should I go against them?
Why did millions vote for number 1?
I don't know, Kitty.
Kitty Carlisle.
I voted for number 1.
Oh, well, that's what I meant to say.
Well, I voted for number 1 because we've often had eccentric Englishmen on this program, and I have often voted for them on the basis of looks. And the other 2 look as though they might be eccentric Englishmen, and I voted for number 1 because he didn't look eccentric.
Don Ameche.
I voted for number 1 also. I can't imagine that a car would hold 5 gallons of gasoline, especially on a trip like that, and I couldn't quite get how the man missed the Amazon.
We'll find out about that,
All
I
right,
think. Polly
let's do
Bergen.
that.
Well, I wanted to vote for 7, but I did. And I voted for number 1 also. I had no idea anybody else would, because I generally don't go along with the group.
Well, I have come at a time of unanimity, I see. The votes are all in, the minds are made up, and now let's find out which of these 3 gentlemen is the South American to New York automobile driver. Will the real John Coleman please stand up? Mr. Coleman, perhaps we'd better ask for future reference, how does one get around the Amazon?
Well, the thing is, if you go along the west coast of South America, you don't go near the Amazon, not very near the Amazon at any rate. It's not in
Only
Ecuador.
5 gallons in the tank?
The tank holds 4.5 English gallons, slightly more American gallons, and I carried spare petrol in an extra can with me.
I see.
That's wonderful. Well, now, number 1, will you tell us your name and who you really are?
Well, my name is Duncan Muirhead, and I'm just on holiday in the United States visiting a married sister in Leonia, New Jersey.
We're delighted you're spending part of it with us. Number 3, how about you?
My name, sir, is Fred Newton. I'm a civil servant from Blackpool, Lancashire, England, and I'm spending, like Duncan, a vacation here for a few days.
Well, welcome to the Lancashire. Challengers, I'm delighted to say that there were 4 incorrect votes, and of course that means a total of $1,000 from Helene Curtis. Thanks and good luck, and a gift box of fine beauty products from Helene Curtis will be sent to you for your ladies wherever you may travel.
I'm sorry
Good to
for
see
all
you.
those
Good luck to you all. And now let's have our next team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is Paige Whiteman.
What is your name, please?
My name is Paige Whiteman.
What is your name, please?
My name is Paige Whiteman.
Panel, will you please follow along with me as I read this affidavit? I, Paige Whiteman, am a livestock auctioneer. While I was still a high school student, I took a 2-week summer course at an auctioneering school. I have sold several thousand head of cattle, as well as hundreds of hogs, sheep, and horses. I am one of the few, and certainly the youngest woman livestock auctioneer in the country, signed Paige Whiteman. Well, now, panel, these three young ladies, these charming young ladies, claim to be livestock auctioneers, and one of them has pledged, of course, to tell the truth. Are you all comfortable, team of challengers, and ready to play the game? So let's go ahead now and start the cross-examination with Miss Kitty Carlisle.
Thank you. Number one, what does hog calling sound like?
Hog calling?
Number two, what is brucellosis?
Brucellosis is a blood disease, and it's mainly when a cow aborts her calf.
Number two, what is a Brahma?
It's a breed of cattle.
Number one, where did you go to auctioneering school?
I went to the Riche American School of Auctioneering.
And number one, did they teach you to throw your voice?
Yes.
They did. Number two, did they teach you anything about making loud sounds?
Oh, it's not called making loud sounds. It's called making a chant.
Making a chant, ah.
Thank you, Kitty. Don Ameche.
Number three, what would a very well-bred bull bring, approximately?
Well, it varies from animal to animal. The going price in the market now is somewhere around $17. Goes up to $20.
No, I'm talking about a thoroughbred, real top-grade bull.
So am I.
Did you say $17?
100 pounds. $17.
Number two, would you, supposing I had a bull up here and you start the bidding at, let's say, $5,000. You start this bidding for me, would you? How would you go about this?
Well, I wouldn't start the bidding. My father would act as a sale barn. He'd be down in the ring, and he'd put the first price on the bull.
Well, you're not an auctioneer.
Yes, but the sale barn always starts the auction first,
Everyone
and then the
knows
bid will
that.
be carried on from there.
Thank you. Now it's time for Polly Bergen.
Number one, if a high-class bull brings $17 every 100, what does a low-class bull bring?
A low-class cow, I should think.
Low-class. Yes. All right, none of that.
I haven't any idea.
You haven't any idea. Number two, what does the average sort of down the middle of the road mass cow bring?
Oh, I'd say it would start, from about $15 up. A calf would start at 15 at least anyway.
I see. How much would a thoroughbred sell for, number two?
Are you speaking about beef cattle or dairy cattle?
Beef cattle.
Oh, they could go anywhere up in the thousands, but a grain-fed steer would start at about $24 per 100 pounds.
I see.
Thank you very much. I haven't heard any farm-inspired questions. Are you a farmer, Tom? You might try.
Well, let me see if I can be an auctioneer-inspired questioner. Number one, what is the term auctioneers use for completing a sale?
Pardon?
What is the term auctioneers use for completing a sale? How about...
There's several ways, I think.
Maybe you could tell me if horses, sheep, hogs, and cattle are all sold by the head.
Are all those animals sold by the head, you mean?
Yes. Is the term by the head used, for instance, for hogs?
No, not always. They're not.
That's very interesting information to have. Thank you very much. I don't think it proves too much, but again, it's time to vote. No consultation. Will you please mark your ballots and select number one, number two, or number three? Which of these young ladies is the livestock auctioneer, Miss Paige Whiteman? All right, panel, have you marked those votes and ballots? All set, Tom?
Yes, James.
Good,
yes.
good. All right, we'll start with you, Tom, and for whom did you vote?
That's right. I forget. Keep forgetting.
Number one.
I stopped being a spokesman for all of you millions of people out there. so I'll just say that I voted for number 1, and you look out for number 1.
Thank you, Tom. Kitty?
Well, I voted for number 2 on the basis of her voice quality. Number 1 didn't sound to me as though she could make herself heard across the room. And number 2 was she leapt to the defense of the auctioneer when I said make a loud sound, and she said it's really a chant. And also she gave me some very good answers about brucellosis. I think she was right about
Sounds reasonable. Don Ameche.
I voted for number 2, and I wish I had some good reasons for doing it. I couldn't find a good reason. This is a pure guess.
Those questions sounded very knowledgeable, though.
Well, I've watched a lot of horse auctions, but maybe this is an entirely different thing going on here than horse auctions.
Could be. Polly?
I voted for number 3. As you notice, it's a rather pale 3, because I wasn't too sure, but I had a feeling everyone else was going to vote for number 2 and number 1, so I voted for number 3.
Well, fine. Thank you, Polly. And now, let's see which of these young ladies is the real livestock auctioneer. Will the real Paige Whiteman please stand up?
Well, I mean, if you're going to pick the least likely, Tom, you're bound to win.
I thought you'd pick number 1.
Can we hear her do it?
There's only
Order at the auction. Yes, Kitty, we can. Miss Whiteman, would you be so kind as to sell something to Don Ameche, please?
Yes, I will try and make myself heard. I have a cold that I think I can...
Well, they didn't tell us that.
Please let us hear your auction set. Number 2, will you tell us your name and who you really are?
My name is Beth Ann Streeter. I'm from New Canaan, Connecticut, and I raise dogs for dog shows.
Good. Number three, how about you?
I'm Valerie Walker. I'm from Manhattan, and I work for the Avco Corporation.
Well, thank you for that. There have been 3 incorrect votes. That means a total of $750 from Helene Curtis, and a gift of fine beauty products from Helene Curtis will be sent to you. We're wonderful. Thank you. Good luck to all of you, and good night. And now let's have our next team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is Will Yoland.
What is your name, please?
My name is Will Yoland.
What is your name, please?
My name is Will Yoland.
Panel, will you please listen while I read this affidavit? I, Will Yoland, am the kite-flying champion of the Western Hemisphere. I am also the kite-flying champion of Connecticut, Boca Raton, Florida, and Adamant, Vermont. Although the art of kiting is about 5,000 years old, I have been engaged in it for only 15 years. I specialize in flying non-rigid kites with a fishing rod and reel. I competed in the Far East this year against the Maharaja of Bharapur, the champion of India. I am now campaigning to have kite flying recognized as an event in the 1960 Olympics in Rome. Signed, Will Yoland. All right, panel, these 3 gentlemen all claim to be Mr. Will Yoland, the kite-flying champion, and we'll start our questioning with Tom Poston.
Will, number 1, is there a combination rigid and non-rigid kite?
I don't know of any.
What if, for instance, the fish's mouth in a non-rigid kite might be made of a hoop? Wouldn't that be a combination of rigid and non-rigid kite?
Not if the hoop is made out of a stick or metal. That would constitute a rigid part.
That's, well, okay. Will, go fly a kite, number 1. Will, number 2, Do you know what is a kite besides something that you fly? Do you happen to know that? Just a piece of information.
Well, I assume that yours mean a bird.
Why is it called a kite? Do you happen to know that?
I'm sorry, I don't.
Why, gosh, I don't either, Will.
Well, perhaps Kitty Carlisle does. It's your turn, Kitty.
Number 3, I'm delighted to have you here because I've never been able to get a kite up, rigid or non-rigid. How do you get it up in the air?
Well, you begin by tossing, say you have a box kite. You begin by tossing it in the air. Every toss, let out a few more yards of string. In other words, there are times when you've got to run like thunder.
I get it, yes.
and get in there.
Number 1, would you be kind enough to spell the name of the Maharaja of Bharatpur?
M-A-G-A.
No, Bharatpur. Bharatpur.
B-H-A-R-A-T-P-U-R.
Thank you very much. Number 2.
It sounds reasonable.
Well, I mean,
I'm
can you
sorry,
spell
Kitty.
it? I can spell it because it's written here.
Don Ameche.
Number 2, how much string are you allowed in these contests?
Well, this would depend entirely on what type of contest, as much as you want.
Well, let's say an open contest. Do you have such a thing as that?
If you're flying a kite for distance, you'd obviously need an unlimited amount of string.
Well, what is an unlimited amount?
2 miles.
Number 3, how do they score these competitions?
There is no definite way of scoring a kite contest.
Well, then how can you have a winner?
Well,
We'll never know, Don. I'm sorry. Polly?
Oh, yes, we will. Oh, yes, we will. How can you have a winner then, number 3?
Every contest has its own rules and regulations. They are written up perhaps 5 minutes before the contest.
Oh, I see.
It all depends on the individual, whether he wants to make it tough for the contestants or what.
Number 2.
I'm sorry, Polly.
I only asked one question.
Well, I'm terribly
Oh,
sorry. It's
there
time
it
to
is.
vote. It's time to discover which of these gentlemen is the kite-flying champion, Mr. Will Yoland. So, without consultation, will you please mark your ballots for and select number 1, number 2, or number 3.
I gotta get one last
These
look.
votes have been made, I trust?
No,
Are we ready?
No, not
I guess
at
we better
all.
hurry, though, huh?
I mean, it's time to count, you know.
Well, I'll try.
All right, Tom, for whom did you vote?
I'll try that number 3 there. I tell you, he answered good questions, I thought, but he has an outdoor complexion, and surely this isn't an indoor sport. I don't know.
Kitty?
Well, I voted for number 3 because he gave me some very good advice about the box kite, which I'm going to use when I get back to the beach tomorrow. Number 1 started spelling Maharaja M-A-J, which I think is wrong. And number 2 didn't know why a kite was called a kite. So I...
Sounds reasonable, Don.
I voted for number 1 because he looked to me like he'd probably have a little less wind resistance than the...
How about you, Polly?
Well, I wanted to vote for number 2 because being the tallest, the kite would have the least furthest to go. But I like number 3. He may not be it, but I like him.
That's a splendid reason. Well, the votes are all in, and the minds are made up, and now let's find out which of these gentlemen is the real kite-flying champion. Will the real Will Yoland, kite-flying champion, please stand up? Thank you, Mr. Yoland. Number 2, will you give us your name? Tell us who you really are.
My name is Duncan McKenzie. I am Assistant Secretary of the Atlantic Mutual Insurance Company here in Manhattan.
Thank you. Well, number 3, we certainly want to know about you.
My name is Joseph Rentler. I am the treasurer of the Grady Travers Company. We sell kite string.
Well, good for you. Well, sir, there have been 3 incorrect votes. That means a total of $750 from Helene Curtis, and the gift box of their fine beauty products from Helene Curtis will be sent to you by mail for your ladies at home. And thank you all, and keep them flying, right? Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we have for tonight, and I want to say to you, panel, I've had a grand time here, and thank you so much, and good night to you all. And hope to see you soon again. Now, this is Jim Fleming saying good night for Helene Curtis and reminding you, as Bud Collyer always does, to tell the truth. Good night.
To Tell the Truth is a Mark Goodson, Bill Cotton production in association with the CBS Television Network. This week's show has been brought to you by Helene Curtis, makers of fine beauty products, creators of Suave hair dressing and conditioner, and America's #1 hairspray, Helene Curtis Spray Net. This is Bill Martin saying goodnight from To Tell the Truth. The preceding program was pre-recorded.